The scent of olive oil clings to the bronze case in the pre-dawn dark. Warmed linen, rosemary. 3 ingredients still there after 21 days. Your hand finds the small leather strap by feel. The latch gives with a soft click. Inside, cold metal catches the lamp flame. Outside the shuttered window, November has not yet begun to soften into gray. This is an obstetrix of Ostia on a court day in November of the year 100. By sunset, a Roman magistrate will rule on where several 100,000 sesterces go, enough to buy a small farm outright. His ruling will turn on one sound she either heard 3 weeks ago or did not. Everything you have been told about this day is incomplete. Today, we decode the real one. Ostia sits at the mouth of the Tiber, 20 kilometers southwest of Rome. Today, the ruins are an archaeological park inside Greater Rome, walked by schoolchildren on class trips. In November of the year 100, they are the busiest port in the western Mediterranean. The year is the second of Trajan's reign. 50,000 people live here. Warehouses along the docks hold grain from Alexandria, oil from Basilica, garum from the coast of Africa. The shipping season has closed for winter, and the courts have filled with the year's accumulated inheritance disputes. You are one of dozens of obstetricas who work in this city, but you are not folk help. Roman civil law recognizes the obstetrix as testis peritus, a formal expert witness. Your testimony carries weight in cases of inheritance, paternity, and the viability of a newborn. That standing did not come from custom. It came from statute. 2 centuries from now, the jurist Ulpian will write down the procedure that governs your testimony today. 2 centuries after that, a commission under the Emperor Justinian will preserve his writing. It becomes Book 25, Chapter 4 of a work called the Digest. It will be photographed and translated and read in law schools you cannot imagine. Somewhere in the tenement blocks near those docks, children are playing in an insular courtyard, their voices thinning as morning traffic picks up. And in a ground-floor apartment nearby, you are closing the bronze case you opened this morning and walking to court. The porridge is chestnut with a spoonful of sheep's cheese stirred through it. You eat it standing at the plank table by the shuttered window. Your daughter is 9 and already awake, braiding her hair by feel in the corner. Your adopted son sleeps another hour. Neither of them asks where you are going. Court is where a testis peritus goes when called. It is not novel. Faustus is beside you at the table. He is a freedman scribe of the harbor administration and your partner in concubinatus. He eats his own porridge in silence and lets you review your notes one more time. When you rise, he rises. He walks with you as far as the customs house on the east side of the forum, and there he turns without a word. He does not touch your arm. He does not ask if you are ready. He knows you are. You do not turn to watch him go. The bronze case is under your left arm, tucked against your ribs like a scribe's tablet box. The leather strap is looped once around your wrist. The morning is cold enough to see your breath, and the fog off the estuary has not yet lifted. The insular courtyard is already awake behind you. A water seller calling his price, children arguing over a leather ball, a neighbor beating dust from a blanket at a second-floor window. The sound thins as the street bends toward the forum, and then it is gone. By the time you reach the forum, the courthouse is already filling. 3 inheritance cases are on the day's roll. Yours is the second. The anteroom of the Basilica Forensis is a stone chamber, the width of a small courtyard, and this morning it is already crowded. 2 other witnesses are seated on the bench along the wall. A court clerk moves between them with a stack of wax tablets. You take the far end of the bench and set the bronze case at your feet. A fresh wax tablet is in your fingers. You review your notes one last time. Not because your memory is uncertain, because the Doomveer will ask his questions in a specific procedural order, and your answers must land in that order. You rehearse the Latin, the term for the position of the infant at delivery, the term for the separation of the cord, the term for the movement of the chest. You rehearse the Greek terms from Soranus that you may need if pressed. You have said these words to yourself twice already this week, walking through the sequence with an iuris spiritus in his consulting office 2 streets from here. The iuris spiritus passes through the anteroom now. Briefly, on his way to another house, he confirms one procedural detail with a nod. He does not coach you. He does not need to. This is your 4th inheritance case in 9 years as a certified obstetrix. Through the open doorway to the chamber beyond, the smell is beeswax from the stacked record tablets, cold papyrus, and the packed heat of spectators pressed together in the marble hall. The first case is being called. Then it is finishing. Then the anteroom clerk turns toward the bench. And then the Doomveer speaks your name. 6 minutes in. Good. You're watching a Roman midwife walk into court to testify about a birth. You'll think the case turns on the delivery. It doesn't. Subscribe to Decoded by Jack. It turns on one sound she either heard or did not 3 weeks ago. And the reason that sound will move hundreds of thousands of sesterces is not what you think. Stay with me. The Doomveer pronounces your name in formal Latin, 3 words. And with those 3 words, you are no longer an obstetrix. You are testis peritus, expert witness, and the bench you sat on this morning is empty behind you. You step onto the witness platform. The bronze case comes with you. You set it at your feet. The chamber is packed to the walls, but you do not look at the crowd. You look at the Doomveer. He begins with the delivery, the position of the infant at the moment the mother's water broke. You answer in Latin. He moves to the umbilical cord, and you answer. He moves to the color of the skin at the moment of separation, and you answer. He moves to the tone of the limbs, and you answer. Twice. When the Latin has no term precise enough, you reach for the Greek of Soranus. The Doomveer nods without comment and lets it stand. 2/3 of the way through, he stops for a moment and asks you to describe the room. Not the mother, not the infant, the room. You describe the window that faced east, the bowl of warm water on the low table, the linens folded on the bench. Your voice does not change, but the chamber does. A stillness passes through it. Then the Doomveer moves on. He comes to the sound, the one question. Your eyes go to the bronze case at your feet for the length of one breath, then back to the Doomveer, and you give him your answer. He takes his notes. The court will rule before sunset. You step down from the platform, pick up your case, and walk out through the crowd. The court clerk finds you at the outer colonnade of the Basilica. The Doomveer has ruled. The ruling goes with your testimony. The dowry passes as you described. He tells you this in 6 words, and you nod once, and you keep walking. The Tiber estuary is a cold gray line to your left as you take the walk home. The wind is off the Tyrrhenian. It carries salt. It carries the sharper smell of fish scales drying on nets between the piling posts of the docks. 2 blocks upwind, the tanning yards are still working. Gulls are calling over the water. The bronze case is under your arm. When you reach the door of the apartment, you set it down inside the threshold. In the same spot, you always set it down. Faustus is home. The children have eaten. Someone has kept back a plate of green lentils for you, covered with a linen cloth on the table. You eat them standing. The lentils are warm still and dressed with olive oil and a little vinegar. When the plate is empty, you sit. You do not think about the mother. You do not think about the infant. Your professional reputation is intact. That is the only outcome you were tracking today. Tomorrow, there may be a birth to attend, or there may not be. You bank the fire. That is the day. But almost everything a modern viewer thinks they know about your profession and about Roman law is wrong. Here is what the court actually did today. Decoded number 1. The court called her testis peritus. Here is what you were probably taught, if you were taught anything about ancient midwifery. Women without training, passing folk knowledge in kitchens, no standing in law, no standing anywhere. None of that is true, and the truth is far better. The Roman court that heard her testimony this afternoon called her testis peritus, expert witness, a formal legal category with procedural weight in a legal system that would shape European civil law for the next 2,000 years. Her testimony wasn't a favor to the family or a courtesy from the bench. It was evidence. 2 centuries after her day, the jurist Ulpian will write the procedural protocol down. 2 centuries after that, it will be preserved in a book called the Digest, Book 25, Chapter 4. It survives. You can hold a modern edition of it in your hands right now. Decoded number 2. Her textbook was being written. That same decade. Here is what you were probably taught about ancient medicine. Improvised, dangerous, little more than superstition. The truth, again, is far better. In the same decade she testified, a Greek physician named Soranus of Ephesus was writing a treatise in Rome. It was called Gynaecology, 4 volumes. It became the standard obstetrical textbook of the Roman world for the next 15 centuries. Ausi Temkin's 1956 English translation is still the standard reference today. Soranus codified 3 things worth naming here. First, the criteria for selecting a midwife: literacy, small hands, calm temperament, sobriety. Second, a technique for turning a breech infant in utero that was not improved on until the 19th century. Third, the 3 ingredients of a properly prepared birth room: olive oil, warmed linen, rosemary. Those 3 ingredients are the smell that opened this video. The one clinging to her bronze instrument case 3 weeks after the birth. Decoded number 3. One sound made the child exist. Here is what you probably believed, that the legal question of when a newborn counts as legally in existence is a modern doctrine, a common law refinement of the last 200 years. The doctrine is 1,900 years older than that. Roman law codified a specific procedural test for legal existence at birth. The test was the vagitus, the first cry. A newborn who had made a sound was legally in existence, capable of inheriting property, even if the child died moments later. A newborn who had not made a sound was treated as if it had never existed. The rule appears in the Digest, Book 25, Chapter 4, and Book 38, Chapter 6. The French legal historian Jan Thomas mapped its architecture in a 1984 essay. The rule survived. It moved through medieval canon law into English common law and into every Anglo-American courtroom operating today. Lawyers call it the born alive rule. When she testified about a sound 3 weeks ago, she was not reporting a memory. She was delivering the legal event, and she was the first witness in a chain that has not ended. You sit in the light of the oil lamp. The bronze case is on the shelf now, its leather strap loose. The green patina catches nothing this late in the evening. On the table by your knee, the wax tablet you carried into the anteroom this morning is unused. The words you rehearsed are still on it, cooling. You do not read them. Outside, the estuary. Gulls somewhere over the water. In the next apartment, a family speaking Latin at the end of their meal. The lamp flame is guttering. Your day is finished. 19 centuries from now, your name will be lost. The dowry you moved today will have paid out and dissolved and been forgotten within 2 generations. The digest that codified your profession will be photographed and translated and cited in law schools you cannot imagine. And the rule you delivered from the witness platform this afternoon will still be operating. In courtrooms you will never see. On a continent you do not know exists. The rule is this: a child who has made a sound has legally existed. That is what you did today.